The following podcast is run by a couple of former wheel turners and one pit guy. It's meant for entertainment, not so much information, but sometimes there's some good information. The opinions expressed are just, these are the morons on the show. Not necessarily right, not necessarily wrong, not the views of any of the sponsors or anything like that. So, these guys, they're going to be talking, they might swear here and there, so if that offends you, either grow up or get a little permission from mom and dad.
All right, race fans, Ryan Aho here. We got the one and only Bert Lehman actually been able to go to a race, finally got to go to a race, and Coach Kraus in the house, episode number 220. How you boys doing this week?
Doing good. It was good to be at a race and hear the engines rumbling and the smell of race fuel.
Well, you went to practice, right, and the race, or did you just go? You went to both?
I went to both.
Right, it's your home track deal. So I heard the crowd was pretty good over there at the big half mile in Shawano. Pretty packed house over there.
Yeah, it was pretty full. Grandstands were really full. They usually are opening weekend, especially if the weather's nice, and it was in the 60s, even lower. Might have been even lower 70s during the day. So it was a nice day for racing. The track was really good Friday night. Not the best on Saturday night.
We'll get to we'll get to the local stuff here in just a little bit. Coach Kraus, I know there's a little racing in your area. I mean, your track not quite open, Ogilvie canceled, but Menominee, Cedar Lake, I guess Wisconsin, not exactly your area, but a couple hours away. I know you watched a little bit online, didn't make it. Is the 29 Star ready yet? I mean, does Larry have that thing dialed in for you? I know that you're just the hired gun, right? You just kind of carry the helmet bag in, tear shit up, Blair and your dad put it all back together. I mean, is that thing ready, or do I got to call Blair and ask him?
Listen, you're 100% right here with the I'm a helmet bag guy these days. That's the only way to go. That's the way everybody does it, Bert. You show up with your helmet bag and you just race. So I actually went out there Saturday. I had his Nipco heater and some stuff here, so I had to bring it back. And last I talked to him on the phone, it had no motor, no tranny, no right side on it. Well, I got out there. Guess what, Ryan? Motor's in and done. It's running. The tranny's in. There's a brand new right side on the car. So now basically I just got to go out there, do some tire work. We're going to change some stuff in that rear suspension. Me and you got some ideas. We're going to get her dialed in and then basically scale it, and we're going to go practice.
I tell you what, you got to give your dad something to do, right? I mean, he's got to have a hobby, so he's got to have something to do. And, when you raced all the time, you were putting new right sides on about every other night or so. At least that's what Ishins told me. I'm not really sure. But super stock racing, needless to say, we had a lot of fun, but it's good to have dad involved, but we got to get you out in the shop a little bit more. I was actually talking, I was talking to Johnny Broking, right? I'm going to start with this before we get into, let's do a shout out to the sponsor first, episode 220, Impact Health Sharing. So if you're self-employed, right, if you own a business, if you're paying for healthcare for you or a family and you're like, man, I'm paying way too much, hit me up, 218-969-1380. Impact Health Sharing is a product that's a great alternative to overpriced health insurance, can save you a ton of money, and appreciate all the people reaching out, getting quotes, and see if we can help you. I've been able to save people thousands of dollars, and it's been a really good deal. But speaking of hired guns, right, and Johnny's going to be pissed, but I got to give him some shit, right? So he debuted the late model. I just talked to him here just a little bit ago. Heat race. He got a welcome to fendered cars by an old super stock guy, right? Corey Mater kind of showed him what little right rear action is, a little super stock in there in the late model, broke his left front spindle. He got back out there, moved forward, had a pretty good car there in the feature. And he's like, do all these late models steer like dump trucks? He goes, it just doesn't steer real good, right? I said, I don't know. I mean, I could turn mine with my pinky. I said, I had one power steering pump I didn't like. I switched to a different brand. I like that better. I said, what do you run for a power steering pump? He's like, shit, I don't know. I'm like, do I got to call your dad? I got to call, just like I got to call Larry to get, updates on what's going on in the 29 star camp. Do I got to call Bob and Big John to see what's going on in the 45 camp? I'm not, what is with you guys? It's like unbelievable. I'm jealous. I had to work on my own stuff back in the day. And I know that you and Johnny both work on it, but it's like, come on now. I got to give you a little grief. So racing underway. Let's start. We got a couple fan questions, and we'll start there. One of them coming from kind of a former flag guy, Justine. I think Justine is the person's name. And the question came, did you see the feature at the Red Cedar Speedway for the street stocks? And I watched all of it. They had a pretty good racetrack over there, the Randy Buss Icebreaker. Good racetrack, good field of cars. I watched every heat, every feature from Menominee this past week. So I did see it. And he says, what was your take? So at the end of that race, they take the white flag, and side by side, really good race between Cody Coomer, Andrew Hansen battling it out. They get into 1 and 2. They're side by side for the lead, and they get into turn 3, and all hell breaks loose, and contact's made, and Coomer goes spinning around. Actually, they both do. Jeff Exall crosses the flag first, but the yellow comes out. They throw the yellow. They decide, hey, everybody took the white. We're going to go checkered. And they give the win to Cody Coomer. And he's like, terrible call. Was the right call made? Should they go green, white, checkered? So I do have some thoughts there. And Bert, I know it's Wissota Street Stocks. I don't even have to ask you. You probably didn't watch it, did you? All right.
No, I did not.
You were in your defense, you were actually at the racetrack. Yep. So in your defense, you were actually supporting local racing by being there in person. But Coach, you and I both watch that race, and I got to be honest, I got to disagree with Justine. I think they made the right call. I mean, at first glance, it kind of looked like maybe he chopped him a little bit. He did come down, but it wasn't an abrupt movement, I don't think. I mean, what's your thoughts? How do you think they made the right call there?
Well, I don't know what kind of rule book they have, but I thought they did. I thought they 100% made the right call. I thought going down the back straightaway, I thought Coomer had a big enough lead. Obviously he knew he was down there, but he did pull him down the back straightaway. He didn't power chop him getting into 3. He angled him, which absolutely he should. And I thought Hansen got in a little too hard. And if you watch that really in slow motion, I think Hansen was spinning before even the contact because he knew he was going to drill him. Everybody had taken the white flag as far as I know. Now we're going to debate about this too with the white flag rule and the green, white checkered, green checkered. I mean, there's so many options here, but I thought they made the right call. You score the white flag lap because it ended under yellow. You give Coomer the win. Andrew Hansen gets the last place on the whatever's on the lead lap. Then you move everybody up a spot to where they were on the white flag. So I thought the right call was made. It was a good, hard race, and I don't think there's anything intentional there. I just thought Hansen got in a little bit hard, and like I said, the issue is, and we can talk about it now, Ryan, is ending under yellow. We hate that as fans. You don't want the NASCAR race the other day. Bert shoots a text out, says there's green or overtime NASCAR race. Well, of course, I go over there and watch it. What happens, Bert? It ends under yellow, which is BS. I hate that, especially in a 13-hour race like there is in the NASCAR races. You got to end them under green checkered. Make sure it's under green. So that's another discussion to have. Should they have gone green checkered? Can they do one lap? Because they scored the white flag, so you can't go green, white checkered. You can't erase that white flag. So there's some scenarios. There's good, hard race and no intention there, but I thought the right call was made.
So under no circumstance do I think there should be a green checkered. I mean, in the history of motorsports, it's always been green, white checkered. That's what it's always been. Even I get it. They all took the white flag. It's overtime. It's one extra lap. I get all that. But, as a fan watching a green checkered finish, it's usually not real exciting. So it's kind of a waste of time. I think the real question here is consistency, right? So I promise you, Dave Moss, Brian Hathaway, they believe in green, white, checkered. There should be no races ending under caution, because they would have had a national championship. I would have ended up in jail. So would my pit guys back in Proctor several years ago. The big problem with going green, white, checkered or not finishing under yellow is if the contact's made and the guy that didn't cause it ends up with a flat tire, that's a bad deal, right? Now you just screwed that guy and it completely changed the outcome. So that's a little bit different deal. But the big thing, whether you go green, white, checkered, green, checkered, or hey, the leader plus one, leader plus half the field, some of them, all the cars on the lead lap have to take the white for it to be a completed race. WISSOTA as a whole needs to get this right, okay? I'm 100% a believer in, everybody has their opinion, but as long as it's the frickin' same at every single WISSOTA racetrack, that's how it should be. So I believe that all procedures, when it comes to ending the race, restarts, all of that, it should be outlined in the rule book, just like the rules are for the cars. I don't understand for the life of me why it's not, right? I mean, you go to a World of Outlaw sprint car race, the procedures are the same at every single World of Outlaw sprint car race, period. End of discussion. No matter what part of the country, what track, doesn't matter where it is, it's exactly the same procedures all the time. WISSOTA Challenge Series, right? They have their own set of rules. They will have the same procedures for every Challenge Series race, but every WISSOTA race does not. So if you're a promoter out there, everybody's got their difference in opinions on what it should be, but punch the buttons below, right? If you're a promoter, if you're a driver, what is your thoughts, right? Should this be consistent across the board? And I don't think anybody really got upset about how the call was or who won or whatever. I talked to Ekdahl and he's like, I was kind of hoping for a green, white, checkered, but I get it, but consistency would be good. And I think that's just something that is lacking right now with WISSOTA races. So Bert, what's your thoughts as a fan, right? I know you didn't see the incident, but as a fan, right, me and Jeff look at it more as a driver, promoter side of it. You're as a fan side. Is it frustrating watching racing going, well, how come this time they do it this way and this time they do it that way? And what's your thoughts on the consistency aspect?
Well, I agree. It should be consistent. Actually, you talking about that got me to thinking, because because if you're racing for a national championship, you should be racing under the same rules wherever you race. And as you're talking about that, though, I don't even know if IMCA has, I think tracks are allowed to do whatever they want as far as, whether the race is over once. In Eastern Wisconsin, most of the tracks have it where if the leader takes the white flag and then the caution comes out, the race is over. That's the way a lot of the tracks in Eastern Wisconsin do it. But I don't know if I don't think that's an IMCA rule. As each track is allowed to come up with their own. But in IMCA, you race for national championships. Also, you race for state championships. So there is some validity in what you're saying, that it should be consistent from track to track on how those sorts of things are handled.
Yeah, if somebody knows, punch the buttons below, let us know. Is that how it works in IMCA also? Is it kind of up to the racetrack, or does IMCA have a set of specific procedures that they have to follow? I don't know. I know it's different from track to track in WISSOTA. That's the issue here. But Justine, I gotta agree. I think they got this one right. I will. We're pretty critical. I'm not afraid to call a track out if they got it wrong, but I think they got this one right. The top question of the week here, brought to you by Hard Charger Performance Specialties. So our buddy Nick Hoff out in Sydney, Montana. This guy's been building engines, man, I tell you, for years, right? 20 plus years. He's built engines for me, for Jeff Provenzino. A lot of success. I won races with his stuff underneath the hood. Not just engines though. He'll do gears. He does a lot of different stuff. The only guy with a dyno where you can schedule time out there in Sydney within like a 500-mile radius. If you're a Wasota guy, you run a crate engine, you need it repaired, he's a go-to guy for that. So get a hold of Nick at Hard Charger Performance Specialties. His number, 406-478-4437. Now, I have another Nick, different Nick, but another Nick that sent in a question, and I thought this one was really cool. And Kraus, you watch pretty much every Wasota race that you can on Dirt Race Central. I watch them as well. And we got a couple north of the border racers that are kind of fun to watch, right? And his question was this: is Cole Chernosky and Dave Simpson the new version of Tom Nesbitt and Joel Kreiderman? And I was like, wow, okay, that's a comparison, right? That's like comparing a rookie to, Tom Brady in the NFL, right? I mean, you can't do it. I mean, Nesbitt and Kreiderman combined got to be north of 1,000 feature wins, or dang close anyway, right? Chernosky and Simpson have a lot of work to do, but I get his question. So in our neck of the woods, right, Hibbing, Proctor, Superior, Ashland, Cedar Lake, Menominee, that neck of the woods, we have a history back in the 80s and 90s of Nesbitt Kreiderman coming down, and that Thunder Bay fan base, passionate fans, right? And they loved coming down and seeing their boys from north of the border come down, take some of that American money back north, right? Well, right now, there's some pretty good racers. They got great things going in Thunder Bay, but the two top guys right now are Chernosky and Simpson. And when they're watching on Dirt Race Central coming down to the States, whatever it may be, it's kind of like those guys against the American guys. Kraus, it's kind of a pretty cool deal. You probably had the same thing in Winnipeg, but what's your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, no, it is a really interesting question. I've been thinking about it. Obviously, it's hard to compare. You're talking two Hall of Famers, so throw that comparison out because that's not what they're doing there. I'm going to use Joel Kreiderman as an example, because back in the day when I was growing up and you're growing up, when Joel Kreiderman rolled into town, when he showed up to the Challenge Series at Viking Speedway, that was a big deal. I mean, it was like, oh, Joel Kreiderman's here. You know what I mean? And same to, Nesbitt didn't get down this way as much, but he ran up that way as much. But like I said, when Kreiderman showed up, it was like, holy smokes, or any traveler back in the day. I can compare it to Rick Auckland. I remember when Rick Auckland used to show up to Viking Speedway, it was like, there's the Busch Light car. Holy smokes, it's home run engines, Busch cars. Rick Auckland showed up. So I can completely understand where they're coming from there. The only thing is you don't have that excitement right now because everybody travels. Back in the day, the 29 car, if you saw the 29 car outside of Viking Speedway, you were like, holy smokes. And I mean, even my dad. I remember going up to Ada and Steve Beach going, what are you doing here? You don't leave Viking Speedway. Even Scott Danzizen. Scott Danzizen would show up to the Wasota 100 and everybody was like, yeah, Danzizen's here, So I can completely get it. And it's cool that fans are relating to this and seeing these drivers come down and traveling. So I think it's a cool deal. It's an interesting topic of conversation for sure.
I remember a couple of years back, I went to the Northern Nationals in Superior as a fan. I was there watching, and Colin Chastruck, 621 Midwest Mod, he won the Midwest Mod feature. He was battling with Skeeter Esty. I think Skeeter broke. He went on to win that race. And I'm telling you what, that place went mental. I mean, it had to have been a third of the fans, at some of these races up in that part of the country come down from Thunder Bay. And like I said, they travel well. I mean, they are passionate, and like these are the two big ones. So they travel, and these guys are super fun to watch. Bert, I know you're on the outside looking in, but your thoughts on this one?
Well, actually, I mean, I just wanted to add, Coach was talking about how, people got excited when Kreiderman would show up. And I mean, you wouldn't think that Eastern Wisconsin, that would happen in Eastern Wisconsin, but there were a couple times when Kreiderman just showed up at Shawano just to race. And one of them was, I don't remember the year, but it was opening night at Shawano Speedway. And, this was before I was real familiar with them. And, just the fact that he was from Canada, it's like, he drove all the way from Canada to come race at Shawano Speedway. You know, it was just exciting, you know, when a driver you're not familiar with shows up and races against, you know, your locals.
You want to know how passionate they are about racing up there right now? You want to know, here's how you tell how good things are going up there. I mean, they got the biggest fan count in all of Wissota tracks, the biggest car counts. It's not close. Things are just hopping. The Mosquito Speedway, they are actually reopening that place as a test track. Now, I don't know if there's plans down the road to reopen it and have a second track up there, but somebody actually took it over. I see some stuff on Facebook. They're actually going to do dirt work there, kind of get it back going, and that is going to be used as a test track up there for the Thunder Bay cars, the Mosquito Speedway. So I tell you what, it's super good one in our neck of the woods for sure, right? I'm talking Hibbing, Rapids, Superior, Proctor, Ashland, those tracks. Everything is better at those tracks when racing is good in Thunder Bay, and racing is really good in Thunder Bay right now. So Nick, thanks for that question. That was a good one. Top moments and stories of the week. So we have some pretty good ones. A lot of racing. We're really getting underway here. A quick shout out, another friend of the show, great sponsor, been on board for quite a while now, Brad Parsons Soil and Ag Solutions. So if you're a farmer, Western Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, planting season is kind of here, right around the corner if you haven't started yet. But here's the deal, right? You want to get the right stuff in those spray packages to get better yields, better results, make more money. And I don't know jack shit about farming, okay? But Brad does. So you're going to want to call Brad at 320-219-3542. You know, if you're not looking at this year, why not when you're out on the combine, you know, at the end of the year, if you're out on the tractor at the beginning of the year, why not give him a call and at least get some information, get educated, and maybe get some data points to see if he has some products that can help you. So that's Brad Parsons, Soil and Ag Solution, 320-219-3542. All right, guys. Number 5. Bert, you're an IMCA guy. He's going to hit right home for you.
Oh.
One of the winningest dirt modified drivers in the history of dirt modifieds, back in victory lane, $5,000 payday. But, Bert, it wasn't in a modified. Kelly Shryock, one of the best ever in an IMCA stock car, has been for the last couple of years. He won the King of the High Banks at Marshalltown, 5,000 to win IMCA stock cars. Number one, did either of you get to watch that race? Number two, your thoughts on Shryock in an IMCA stock car, probably the best class IMCA has.
Yeah, I did watch that race, and yeah, he's been racing a stock car periodically for the last couple of years, and he had a good run. The race was pretty good in the early laps, but then the track kind of locked down and there wasn't a whole lot of passing at the end, but still a pretty good victory for him.
Kraus, I know that you watched that one and you were kind of in utter disappointment. You're like, don't even waste your time watching the end of that one. She was a snoozer. But IMCA stock cars, Kraus, you're a Wissota guy. I get it, right? But if you had to take all the IMCA classes, is it even a debate that IMCA stock cars is their best class?
No, it's not. I think when they get to Boone and wherever, they're so competitive. And their hobby stock class is awesome too, just because the rules package. You know, when the stock cars are, you know, it's almost Kelly Shryock in a stock car is almost like Shane Zabrowski in a super stock. What are you doing? You know what I mean? It's just it's almost to that point where it's like, yeah. And I don't even know if he owns that car. I don't think he does. I'm not sure about that. I think he may just drive it. But you know, he's actually met him a couple times. I used to live about 10 miles down the road from him, and I went over to his shop one time. He gave me a tour of his deal when I was coaching in Iowa over there in Mason City. I drove over there and completely missed the Shryock. I don't know if you've ever been over there, Ryan. It's in a country road out in the middle of nowhere, and I missed the sign. You couldn't see it. The Shryock chassis sign, you couldn't see it. Rocket or whatever it is, you couldn't see it. And I missed it. I drove by it like 3 times. I'm like, oh, it must be back there. I saw a hauler, and he gave me a tour of his fab shop and stuff. nice guy. So good to see him, but horrible race, Bert. It was an absolutely horrible race. You got to give,
No,
it was just bad. And I knew as soon as they got out there, it was going to be locked down. And can't remember the guy in second. The guy in second could have got a little bit more aggressive. I think he ended up spinning out or getting wrecked or something, or broke. I can't remember who it was, but he could have got more aggressive with Kelly there early on in that race, because he was diamond in 1 and 2. He could have wedged it in there and got under him, but he gave him the room because it was a 3,555 lap race again, which they didn't need. I get it's $5,000 to win, but we don't need that many laps. So, Marshalltown, Ryan, Bert, you got to have a cushion. You got to have guys up banking the cushion on the bottom, slide jobs, diamond and people, stuff like that. So cool to see him get the win. Great card count, good quality cars. But wish it just had a little bit better of a race.
Yeah.
One of your local boys was down there, Bert.
What's that?
One of your local boys was down there.
I was just going to say, that's why I said the first part of the race wasn't too bad, because Cole Zarneski was in that race. And when I turned the race on, he was in 9th, and he got up to 3rd or 4th at one point. But then, yeah, the last half of the race was just follow the leader and no passing at all.
So I have kind of a neat Kelly Shryock story. So Whitney and I, my daughter, we went down, we did winter racing one whole winter. And we were actually, I had my hauler. I was out visited my sister when she was living in Yuma down there, visited her. And then we were going to Tucson, and then we're going back across. We're going to go race at Baytown in right by Houston, USMTS race. And I don't, you know me, I travel at night. I don't get up in the morning. I travel at night. So we're rolling down the highway 80 miles right east of El Paso. And we're rolling up a hill. I go to pass a car on the left lane. I go to roll up the hill, and all of a sudden the motor goes in my hauler. Middle of the night, there ain't shit around anywhere. Pitch black on a mountain, right? I'm going, this sucks. We're in the left lane, mind you, right? Kind of on a corner. And I'm like, well, I can't leave it here, right? I can't be in the left lane in the middle of a freaking freeway broke down. So I told my daughter, I said, get out, go stand over there on the side of the road, because I'm going to try to make sure I get this on the correct side of the road on the shoulder. So I do that. I get it on the shoulder, and I grab everything out of the trailer I can. Blocks of wood, chunks of lead. I mean, everything I could, jacking it underneath the tires, because I'm like, I don't want this thing rolling down the hill, right? No cell phone service. None. Right. Literally 10 miles up the road, maybe not even, there's a border patrol station. Like they don't have border patrol stations on the border. They're like 50 miles in, right? So we're sitting there, cars are driving by us, cops drive by, border patrol drives by. It's literally, it gets to be like 8, 9 in the morning, and we're like, I got no cell phone service. There ain't nobody going to stop. Kelly Shryock stops. And he pulls over. We hop in. He gives us a ride up to the Border Patrol station so we can call, get a record from El Paso. That wasn't cheap. But, boy, if it weren't for him, I could still be stranded down there in freaking middle of the highway. So thank you, Kelly Shryock, for stopping to get us, I guess, over 10 years ago. So number 4, little buggy action. Coach Kraus, what do we got?
Well, it depends on what buggy action you're talking about. I don't have a phone right now. I don't know what what's going on. So are we talking
there's only one sprint car guy that even freaking matter. There's only one, right? You're from our neck of the woods. The rest of them can all piss off, right? There's only one guy that matters, and when he wins, it's top 5, just the way it is.
I just wanted to make sure, because we weren't talking about that other series. I don't even know. I don't know. It's one of those deals shouldn't be on the show. It's just, no, it is what it is. But no, you're right. And took him 9 years to win at that place again, I believe it was, wasn't it, Mr. Donnie Schatz? Mm-hmm. Fargo, North Dakota, Minot, wherever you want to call him from. Obviously from Fargo now. But getting another win. It's been 9 years since he's won at that place. It's crazy. He talked about how he struggled at I-55, and I would have really, really liked to see him after qualifying, because he, I know he said in his redraw he had a few choice words. I don't know if it was him or if it was his crew or what they did with the setup, but he got buried in qualifying, and he went from fifth to second, or I don't know, wherever he started in the first corner over there, and I'm get second, and then you start outside pulling the dash, and then all of a sudden he gets the win. So I thought that was the story. Just listening to him say, "Man, we had qualifying, we were buried." They had zero expectations after qualifying. Isn't that crazy, Ryan and Bert? How he thought they were done. They were like, basically, let's load up and go home, and then he ends up winning. So pretty cool about perseverance there, and saying, hey, we're the best team in the business. We're going to go out here and get a win. So obviously anytime Donnie Schatz in victory lane is pretty cool, but the way he did it, the way he persevered, all you young racers out there, don't get upset. You have a bad heat or whatever it is. Let's stay after it, stay positive, and like I said, vent. You got to have a few choice words, and then go out there and win.
Always good seeing him up front, and he's in second in points right now, still in striking distance. He's lurking, and we kind of call the beginning of the year. It's probably David Gravel's year, but man, I hope not. We'd like to see Schatz get number 11. Bert, number 3. Kind of a surprise, right? Lucas Oil MLRA action down at Wheatland at the Lucas Oil Speedway. What happened down there?
Yeah, I actually didn't watch these races, but I saw the results, and I can't believe that nobody in our texting group posted anything about or texted anything about cherry picking. But Superman Jonathan Davenport went down to Wheatland for the MLRA races down there, and won both of the races down there. So I imagine he was there.
Bert, I got a question. Was Ricky Thornton Jr. and Mike Marlar there?
Yes.
And now you just said Jonathan Davenport's cherry picking?
Well, no, I did not say he was.
Well, he wasn't racing against Pierce. So, I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, if you're not racing against Pierce, you're kind of cherry picking. You're right. You're not wrong.
No, I'm not saying he was cherry picking. It's just I figured somebody in our group would make that accusation.
I gotta be honest. I was surprised, right? I mean, so Lucas, now it was 20 grand to win night 2, you know, so it was basically the same pay as it was up at the Illini 100. I was surprised, not so much Davenport, but it was actually closer miles wise for both Marlar and RTJ to go to Farmer City than it was to go there. So I was kind of surprised that they went that direction. Possibly, maybe testing. I mean, I think they put new dirt on that place, and they got the 32nd annual Show Me 100 coming up end of May. All them Lucas guys going down, is that kind of basically, was their mindset going, hey, we're going to see what this new dirt's like to go down there? Is that what your thought is?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw that he was down there, Marlar was there, RTJ was there, you know, the first thing that came to mind was, you know, they're preparing for when Lucas goes to Wheatland for their Lucas shows.
It's been a while since JD's doubled up. It's been a while. He's won some races, but it's been a while since he's doubled up. Is he the favorite to win the Show Me after doubling up down there, you think? Or what's your thoughts?
Well, I'll put him.
I don't. How many cars did he pass over the weekend, Ryan?
About as many as he passed the year he won $2 million, probably zero, because he qualified well, started in the front.
I'm pretty sure he probably passed more cars on the interstate getting to the track than he did. I think he started front row both nights, and, you know, he's a format guy. He loves the qualifying. He loves starting up front of heats. He hates passing cars because you might get a nick on that 49. But it wasn't close. There was times it looked like he was coasting. I watched both the features. It looked like he was coasting, and Thornton get a little bit close to him in traffic, and he's like, "Nah, I think I'm going to pick it up. I'm out of here." So he's definitely testing for it, and you know, there's another monkey in the wrench. Maybe he's back. Maybe he's going to be able to compete with those guys now. And you know him, guarantee he's sick of losing to the 20 RT and the 32 and the 1 and whoever else he's been losing to the last few years. So it's good to get him back up front.
For sure. Number 2, and a little controversy here on the show, right? Because I know Coach Krause upset with me. He's like, this should have been number 1. Probably right, but you know what? I do the agenda, so it is what it is. But
I will say I was surprised when I got the agenda that this was number 2.
I I just wanted to go with the drama side of it on the other one. I think that's why we put kind of like the drama side. But most exciting and not close, most exciting finish of the weekend, probably one, if not maybe the most exciting finish of the year so far. One of you boys take it away.
Well, it's boy, I tell you what, it wasn't everybody picked Pierce to sweep the weekend. The World Outlaws are back, and the big story was Pierce is back, and he's 16th in points, and what's he gonna do? He was obviously on a mission, but I tell you what, Hoffman's got that number 9 rolling right now, and he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. So he was kind of cruising around, and you know how Farmer City gets that. Cushing gets treacherous both corners, and you know, Nick even said in an interview, I was just kind of coasting around and he was watching the scoreboard, and all of a sudden you see 32 chasing him. You know, 32 is going to be rim riding. And hardest, he went into the corner all night into 3 and 4. And guess what? He got a little tight, didn't he, Ryan Burt? And Hoffman jumped the cushion, and Pierce bonsai'd that thing wide open on the bottom. And Pierce even said, I looked up and I saw him. I'm like, I'm going to have a chance here. And Pierce slid up, took his lane away, and Hoffman said he didn't lift, drove off the well, technically it's the front straightaway, and basically passed him on the track. And seeing that live, everybody was like, oh, Pierce won. You didn't think Hoffman had a chance. And it's hard to tell where the line is in that place, but you know, he ripped the A post off his car and had some damage, and ended up being about as clean as a finish as it could be. That could have been nasty. That could have been really nasty. Yeah. Those two did a heck of a job saving both. Pierce was dead sideways facing the grandstand, and Hoffman was off the track. So Soup is, from a fan standpoint, pretty much a snooze fest, and then you get probably the most exciting finish that you could. So that was a takeaway from everybody. It's like, boom, you saw the best finish you could be, and everybody was jacked. Like you said, Ryan, I talked to you today. We were hoping for a little bit more drama at the end, especially there's been some keyboard fights between Hoffman and the Pierces, so I was hoping for some more drama. But obviously, an awesome finish, and good to see Nick Hoffman rolling, and he's going to be a contender the rest of the year.
And let's not forget, he's got a ton of laps around those Illinois bull rings, right? He's followed the Hell Tour, the Hell Tour in the modified portion of it. I guess for the Summer Nationals for the mods for quite a number of years. So he's got a lot of laps around those racetracks. Extremely good car. Car looks a lot like his modified did going around them racetracks. Pierce kind of sneaking himself back up into the conversation, of course, kind of proving that he's still the guy, right? I mean, both of them two were really good this past weekend. Did you notice where the flag stand is there?
Mm-hmm.
Infield. Is there another track out there? I don't know if there's any other tracks where the flag stands in the infield.
I don't know.
I never knew that.
I know. I think the flagman stands on the inside, but he kind of stands there. But
yeah,
I was going to say I don't.
Track, right? You know, but
I thought Fairbury was too, but that's not. That's in the stands. I thought there was another Illinois track that was in the infield too, but
probably
weird situation there. But I mean, you can't put it where it would have been where Hoffman was. The guy would have been the flag stand would have been popsicle stick, so he couldn't put it there. So obviously they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they got the horse track on the outside.
And the way Hoffman crossed the finish line, the thought crossed my mind was, is the transponder even going to pick up? You know, because I don't know where the angles are and that sort of thing.
Yeah, if Pierce doesn't get dead sideways there, he wins, you know. So I saw keyboard warriors, oh yeah, Pierce doing Pierce things, driving off the side of him. Oh man, yeah, what a hack. Well, he did everything he could to stay off. He bonsai'd, and then when they made contact, he was turned dead to the left to stay off him. If he stays straight, he wins, right? But if he stays straight, it's probably more than keyboard warriors. There might have been a brawl afterwards because there probably would have been some tore-up equipment for sure. So our top story of the week brought to you by Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating of Ashland, Wisconsin. #1 sponsor of the #1 series in all of Wissota racing, the Northland Superstock Series, home of the Galloper chassis. They do amazing powder coating, sandblasting, custom fabricating. They service a lot of racetracks up in the Northland. You're not going to meet a much better group of guys than the guys over at Fastlane. Chris Bredding, just a great individual. Give anybody the shirt off his back. And if you need parts, if you need stuff worked on, that is definitely your go-to. Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating of Ashland, Wisconsin. So the #1, and Kraus would say #2, but it's our #1 moment of the week. Did Dale McDowell get screwed at North Georgia Speedway during the Southern All-Stars race here on Saturday night? So Dale McDowell wins the feature after post-race tech, after a lot of lengthy discussion, after post-race tech, he deemed to be another troublemaker. These freaking late model guys, nothing but a bunch of troublemakers. Nothing but tire doping, tire cheating, tire swapping, all kinds of tire issues. Another guy with tire issues, Dale McDowell, well, kinda. Your thoughts on this, guys? Dale McDowell deemed illegal. I suppose I can give the kind of what happened here. So Southern All-Stars has a rule in place where at the beginning of the night, they'll mark 4 tires, and I think they take serial numbers. I think they document 4 tires, and then you can swap out 2 of them for the feature, meaning that you can run 6 tires for the night. Well, long story short, he ran 7 and got caught, right? So a little bit of he said, she said on the Keyboard Warrior stuff here, right? Southern All-Stars put out their side saying, hey, we posted it. Wait, we talked about it at the pit meeting. I don't know why it was such a big deal. McDowell's camp's like, well, yeah, but they posted it on Facebook, wasn't on the website. They didn't like the way they did it. They did have pre-race tech. In pre-race tech, they check the tires. They document, are these the tires that you ran in the heat? And you're allowed 2 other ones. They were given the green light after pre-race tech, according to sources, right? They were said, hey, you're good to go race. He wins the feature. They're told afterwards, well, I guess our tech guys were wrong in pre-race tech, and we're going to go ahead and disqualify you. Interesting deal. Bert, we'll start with you.
I mean, it's the driver's responsibility to know what the rules are. But the thing that gets me is he passed pre-race tech and they let him go out there to race. And because of that, I'm leaning towards he did get screwed a little bit in that deal because they let him out onto the track to race because they deemed that he was legal.
And pre-race tech, mind you, is specifically for the tires. It's not pre-race, we're going to check the whole rest of the car. They had a pre-race tech specifically on the tires, right? We're going to look specifically at the tires. Yep, you're good to go. Oh, we're wrong. You're not good to go. You're disqualified. Kraus, how long would you be in jail if that happened to you?
A long time, especially you go through. It's like the NASCAR guys. You don't make tech in NASCAR. Your crew chief's gone. Your owner's gone. I mean, they throw you right out the building. You're not even allowed. So here you make it through pre-race and you don't. I'd be super mad. And then the second off, it's a stupid rule. Okay, don't put these tech people in this position. Right? I don't care how many tires you get. 6,000. They're not, like I said, and I know we can talk about saving money and all this, four tires this, 4 tires this was during the tire shortage. Well, we all know there was never a tire shortage. We figured that out with Hoosier in a big hurry, especially up in this area. But I don't like this 5, you get 5 tires, you get 6 tires. It puts the emphasis on the tech people, okay? Because drivers are going to cheat, Ryan. You know, Bert, you know they're going to do it. They're going to try to push the envelope. They're going to find different tires, cut a tire. Oh, I ran over a nail in the pits. I need a new tire. Take that completely out of the equation. It shouldn't even be an issue. That's my big deal with it. Now all of a sudden it makes a tech guy look bad. It makes the racetrack look bad. It makes a ton more people look bad. Makes McDowell look bad. It makes it think there's a conspiracy theory because Ray Cook won. I mean, there's so much more stuff that people think. Don't have it. Have it done. You can run as many tires as you want. I get where they're trying to do. Get rid of the rule. I just don't like it for the tech people, and I don't like it for the track.
I got to disagree. Okay, I agree that he got screwed, and I agree that it's bullshit, because if you're going to do pre-race tech and approve somebody that they're good and then disqualify them after the race, well, that doesn't make the tech guy look like he is an idiot. That means he is an idiot, okay? Well, like, we're not afraid to give Billy a lot of shit for doing stupid stuff in Wasota. This is beyond it. This is as bad or worse than anything he's ever done. You can't tell somebody hey, you're good to go. That's no different than looking at somebody's, coming up and measuring the size of their hood, for example, right? Hey, we're going to take these measurements. Yep, you're good. Go race. Oh, just kidding. You're illegal. You can't do that. That's where the whole problem lies. And I 100%, I'm opposite of you on this. I like this rule. This is a regional series. These are low dollar late model guys. The Southern All-Stars is kind of like the Challenge Series. These are weekend warrior guys. These freaking tires are $230 a piece. None of these races pay big money. At most, they're $1,000 to start the feature. You do the math. If you burn up 6 tires in a night, that's over $1,200. You are absolutely going to kill the sport if you're spending more in tires than at what it costs to start the feature. I like the intent of the rule, because could there be some changes? Maybe. But the idea behind the rule on a local level, on a regional level is, hey, we're going to do what we can to try to keep the cost down, because these are weekend warrior guys, and 4, 5, 6 tires is a lot. I mean, if you need to go through more than 6 tires, that's a shit ton of tires. 4 tires, 5 tires, I get the concept of the rule. I kind of like that. And I mean, we've talked about tire treatment, tire softening and all that. And my stance is just make it legal, and just, you ain't going to tech it anyway. But if they're dead set, right? If they're dead set on going, we do not want tire softening at all, the best way to do it is say you get 4 tires in a given night. That's all you get, because if you soften the tires you time trial with and you're going to run them in a 50-lap feature, good luck with that one. That'll police itself in a hurry. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with the rule, but I do have a problem with how bad they screwed Dale McDowell. Bert, looked like you had something you were kind of pondering there.
No, I like the concept of the rule also. I understand some people say, well, just, racing's expensive enough. Just let them have as many tires as they want. But there comes a time when you have to draw a line somewhere, and we have to try to contain these costs somehow. The concept is good. They just need to do a better job of teching it pre-race.
Yeah, and let me be clear. Dale McDowell, the Shane McDowell Racing team, they're all for that rule. They like that rule, because I remember a couple years ago they skipped out on going to a lot of the races over at Speed Weeks, simply because they were allowing the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and they're like, this is ridiculous. Like, we're not at that kind of budget where we can like spend that kind of money on tires for that little amount of pay that they paid at Speed Weeks. So they kind of look at it that way. But there's going to be different opinions on everything, and that's an interesting one. Hey, you know what we think? Jeff's hey, run as many tires as you want. I'm for go to 4 or 5 tires, right? What do you guys think? Give us your thoughts in the comments. What are your guys' thoughts? Good rule? Bad rule? Should they limit the amount of tires? Would that be good for racing? Give us your thoughts on this. You know what we think. Let us know what you think. All right. Closing thoughts from this past week's events from one of our favorite chassis builders out there, Coach Kraus.
Yeah, Flat Out Performance and Turbine Chassis out of Hancock, Minnesota. You need any fab work done, bumpers, anything like that, he can do it for any chassis. Jeff Flatten over there in Hancock, Minnesota. So make sure you give him a call. He's got Facebook, he's got a website to get a hold of Flat Out Performance and Turbine Chassis.
Absolutely. Good hot rods over there. Turbine's been around for a long time, couple different owners, but they went from a great owner to another great owner, and they win races. They're going to continue to do so. So local action. So once the season gets started, let's just be completely honest. I mean, there is absolutely no way that we can recap every single race, and it just can't happen, right? So, Bert was at some local races. We watched some local stuff in Wissota. So let's just take a minute, and just kind of think about our local stuff. What are some things, just a handful of things, couple things that stuck out to you from this weekend's action on the local scene? So Bert, why don't you go ahead and start since you were actually at a race?
Well, Eastern Wisconsin, Shawano Speedway opened up and 141 Speedway opened up. And the reason I bring up both tracks is 141 Speedway had 177 cars on their opening night.
Wow.
That's a lot of cars. Shawano had 106, but obviously the Dirt Kings was a draw at Shawano opening weekend. We'll talk about this later because one of my bold predictions did not come true. They only had 18 late models at the show. They lost 2 late models from practice. Ron Berna and Jaden Schmidt were at the practice, but they both had motor issues and didn't return the next night. But like I said earlier, the track for practice Friday night was really, really good. They had water in it, moisture. Complete opposite the next night. It was a dust bowl. I sent you guys a picture during one of the features, and where I sit, I could barely see the cars coming out of turn 4. It was not good. They have a new track prep guy, so hopefully they'll get it figured out and can solve it. If they can get a track like they had Friday night. Well, I had heard some people complain it was too wet on Friday night, and I don't know if that's true, but just put some water on the track. I mean, if you guys want to race, if the racers want to race on a black track from top to bottom, go race asphalt. Get some moisture in the track. Anyway, Dirt Kings action. Mike Mullen won the feature. He started, I don't know, like 6th or so. So there was a little bit of passing in the feature, but Mike Mullen won. Nick Avalink was 4th. I think Gunnar Frank was 2nd, and Andy Carl was 3rd. But I did get to talk to Chris Ortel before the races. He's back in a late model this year. He started on the pole in the feature, but pulled off because he posted on Facebook his motor was bogging down. And he said what happened was the hose on the fire extinguisher system came off. So the motor was sucking in the fire extinguisher stuff. So that was his issue. And I did talk to Gunnar Frank before the races, and he won the track championship at Shawano Speedway last year. Right now his plan is not to defend the title because he said they're going to go race in some Wissota Challenge Series races this summer. So
that'll be a good addition. I see quite a few guys going to follow that series. It sounds like they might have the biggest Challenge Series amount of cars that they've had in quite a number of years. So that would be 2 more good additions right there.
Yeah, he said that they want to race on some smaller tracks this year. They raced at Shawano all of last year, and that's a half mile, and they want to improve on their shorter track program. So that's what their plans are for the summer.
Well, there you go. Well, glad to see you got to go to a race. Mike Mullen, one hell of a race car driver. It's gonna be tough to beat. I mean, Anlin's kind of been the guy, but Mullen he's no joke.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked earlier in the show about, modified drivers racing IMCA stock cars, and Mike Mullen's one of those drivers in Eastern Wisconsin who is a very accomplished modified driver and late model driver, and he's also raced in the IMCA stock car class, but he is not racing the IMCA stock car this year. They're going to concentrate more on the late model, so we'll see what he can do over the entire season.
So kind of dropping down a class to the late models. Okay, I get it. All right. All right. Coach Kraus, local racing, what stuck out?
You know what? Good super stock racing all weekend. I thought Red Cedar had a really good race. You know, another questionable deal at Red Cedar. Radetsky got into Spacek a little bit there, and right call was made. Went back, green white checkered, ended up finishing that one off, and then Cedar Lake again. Spacek with another win. So he obviously. What's that? What are you shaking your head for?
Spacek didn't win at Cedar.
Who won at Cedar?
Cop.
Oh, Kyle Cop did. That's my fault. I thought Spacek won Friday, correct?
Put some respect on the name, Brule, Wisconsin. Kyle Cop, come on now. Second generation, maybe third generation.
Does have a red and white car. It's probably why he won. So I thought the super stock race was good. I'm pretty pleased with the car counts. You know, everybody's been talking about that class, where car count's going to be. It's been an up and down class. It's 1 year it's down. Next year it's really up. Obviously, I know we're biased, Ryan, but it is the most affordable class. It 100% is. It pays more than the lower classes. It's competitive. It's a fun class. You know, so it's good to see good super stock racing and good car counts. You know, especially the car counts have gone up. You know, from Cedar week before, I thought Red Cedar had good ones, and then it went up again at Cedar. So it's good to see those car counts growing, and people are always late bloomers around this neck of the woods. So finally getting their cars out, and just good to see good super stock racing.
Yeah, and the super stocks, I think, had the highest car count. Them and late models both had the highest car counts at Menominee, and Midwest mods were right there as well, but really good car counts in the super, which is good to see. Kyle Kopp kind of saved, right? Kind of got saved by the yellow. Joey Jensen got by him, and the yellow come out there at the end, and he was able to hold him off, get that win. Sam Mars, back-to-back wins, had to work for it. If you look just at the stat sheet, started on the front row, won, not a big deal, but Nick Panitsky, who happened to win at Cedar, got by him, and Mars had to work for that one, stuck back by him, kind of threw a pretty nasty slider, not dirty, but aggressive, fun, like exciting slider. Jimmy Mars, not a big fan of the sliders. I know he was a little upset with Jesse Glenz about that, so I kind of wonder. It's like what your kids out there throwing some pretty cool ones, and it was really fun to see Sam Mars having a really good start to the season. Buzzy Adams kind of put a beat down on him over there. Super stocks were good. Little controversy in the supers. Of course, Spacek there getting the win. Controversy in a couple races at the end of the race at Menominee, but right calls were made. Another thing that stuck out, so teching. I had some sources, I had some people reach out to me, and they were like, Ryan, I am pretty much convinced that they haven't like teched in Wisconsin in like a decade, right? Like literally, like they're going to the track, they're teching these cars, street stocks. Dumb rule, I get it. It's a dumb rule. It's a rule, but it's a dumb rule. They're still stuck on you got to have steel bodies, right? Dumb, okay, but whatever. It's still a rule. There's cars out there where the majority of the body panels on their car are aluminum, and they're like, I've been running it this way for a while, and it's like they don't tech, right? They don't tech bodies in Wisconsin. Is this a thing? I'm not really sure. And so I kind of had some fun with a few people that were kind of reaching out, going, "This is kind of ridiculous." A number of guys, and this is one here that is interesting to me. A number of guys got kind of their fingers slapped a little bit for out-of-date seatbelts. The rule right now, Bert, I'm not sure if you're aware, you can run seatbelts, I think, for 2 years, and then you got to replace them. They got a 2-year stamp on them. Dumbest rule ever. In the history of my life, I've literally never heard of somebody's seatbelts going bad and somebody getting hurt. It's stupid, right? I'm pretty sure a seatbelt manufacturer is the one responsible for making this rule, but I mean, none of this stuff's ever been teched before. And guys, the new owner, right? there's a word on the street that Rice Lake, right, who sold the new owner at Rice Lake is like, where do I get tech tools? They're like, well, didn't you get them from the guy you bought the track from? They're like, didn't have them. Pros, they didn't even have a pump or a whistle at Rice Lake. They didn't have them. It's like unbelievable, right? So we get critical to some of our tech guys, but holy shit, at least they tech, right? I mean, so there is that. So so the teching deal was kind of a little interesting over there. At Cedar Lake, a little bit of debut there. Johnny Broking, Shane Sobraski debuting their late models. They both finished around what they get 8th and 9th, 7th and 8th, somewhere in that neighborhood. Johnny Broking got introduced to what contact sports are, and that's when you get fenders on them. There's a little bit more contact. But overall, pretty good racing. I thought the track prep was pretty good at both of those. And if you're a Kennedy Swan follower, she had a good night 1, night 2, not so good, but she got second behind Buzzy. Pretty good run for the 18 modified over at Menominee. Buggy action. So we talked about shots. Anything else stick out to you guys from sprint car action? I know Krause's favorite series, the High Limits, but World of Outlaws were in action as well. Anything else stick out to you from the sprint car world this past weekend? Bert, we'll start with you.
Oh, well, I watched all the World of Outlaws, and I watched the high limit one from last Sunday night. And the racing wasn't bad when they were actually racing, but that was just a caution fest. They had so many cautions. They had to have a open red to let them fuel up their cars. So I'm not quite sure what was up with all of that.
Empty grandstands too. I don't know if you noticed that last night. High limit deal. There was nobody there. Empty. Did you see that, Kraus?
I did. Well, I had to make up because the place was packed on Texas. Friday night is when they ran there.
Saturday, wasn't it? They run Saturday, Sunday this week.
Saturday is when I'd say they moved Friday to Sunday. Saturday was packed. Gonna give props to the High Limits because they made a big deal about it. They wanted to get NASCAR fans involved in the sprint car racing, and I know they made multiple comments on the show. They interviewed some people, some drivers, and it sounds like there was a bunch of NASCAR fans there. And I've been to that race in Texas. It's the only NASCAR race I've ever been to was in Texas, and the place was packed. So I'm going to give them props for doing that. And obviously they were catering to Kyle Larson. There's no doubt about that. But from that standpoint, they said there's a lot of NASCAR shirts in the stands. So I think that's, props to them for trying to get some new fans involved and could see what dirt racing is about. It still sucks that series is split. You want to see all those guys together. They're just, I still like the World Outlaws better. I think there's a little bit more star-studded. I don't think that. I mean, even when Kyle Larson's there, I think his aura's kind of wearing off a little bit. And Brad Sweet. He's not a, he's a William Byron. He's one of those type of guys. He's not the old school Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick type. So I will give them props for doing that, though. So that was one thing that stuck out to me is about the High Limits. Trying to get some NASCAR fans involved.
Yeah, and every time I've been to a NASCAR race, I went to Talladega. The dirt track right next door was jam-packed with NASCAR people. I went to Vegas, jam-packed NASCAR people. Texas Motor Speedway, of course, the NASCAR race was at Texas, jam-packed with NASCAR people. So that's a smart move. When there's a NASCAR race, you have a dirt race at the track that's right there. That's just common sense. That is smart to do that. But it just sucks. You're right. Two series absolutely sucks. Water's down the field. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I'm going to try this one more time. Hopefully I don't jinx him again. Bill Baylog, couple top fives again for the North Shore Nightmares. So, man, he's fun to watch. He's pretty sporty. I feel like a win's coming for him. Bert, is that what you were going to say?
Well, that's not what I was going to say, but as I was watching the outlaw races when Baylog was having the good runs, I was thinking of you right away. I was thinking you better not bring him up on the show, but you did. But anyway, what I was going to say in one of the outlaw races, did you see they had a C main and they had 4 cars in it?
Really? I did not see that.
Yes, they had a 4-car C main.
Oh boy. And again, there we go again. Unnecessary races. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But I did not see that. I watched the features. So late model action here this past weekend. So Kraus, I think
If they had a 6 tire limit, you'd have to run hot laps, a heat race, a C main, a B main, and an A main on 6 tires on a
there
sprint
is
car.
zero chance that anybody from the C main is making the A main. So let's just be clear. All right, that's just not going to happen.
David Gravel breaks rolling along the tracks and got to run a C. You trying to tell me he wouldn't win the C, win the B?
He wouldn't be in the C main.
How do you know? Remember, you got to start those in order to get your provisional.
Huge difference between the #1 series, national touring series, and a local regional series. 2 totally different conversations.
Now, Southern, Dale McDowell's a touring guy, Ryan.
Dale McDowell's not a touring guy. He's been a touring guy for a decade. What are you talking about?
Consider him a touring guy. You and your 6 tires.
You're kind of cutting out there a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on.
They got $150,000 cars, and you're worried about 6 tires.
Got to start somewhere. So, we'll get back to the late model action. So the big ones, of course, this weekend, the Illini 100. We talked about that. The Lucas Oil MLRA race down at Wheatland. And then the Hunt the Front late model series had a doubleheader down at Alltech. Other than what we've talked about already, anything else stick out to you guys from any of the late model action this weekend? Bert, let's start with you.
Well, I just have to say, is it just a coincidence that we had an eclipse last week and Black Sunshine is on the podium the next weekend?
Right? That was going to be my hot take. Night #1, though, we didn't even make the feature. So he didn't make the show night 1. Night #2, he gets second on the lockdown, rubbered up garbage racetrack. I mean, it's terrible, but he got second, inching closer to that elusive win. It's been, I don't know, seemingly it feels like a decade, but it's been like 3 years, I think, since he's found victory lane. He's gonna win.
Well,
So let's face it, that Hunt the Front series races on some not real good racetracks, in my opinion, right? I think he's gonna sneak one. I think he's gonna get a couple wins. I mean, Bloomquist is coming.
Well, I don't know if you watched his post-race interview. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did hear this portion of it. And I want to ask you guys how tough this would be. He said that towards the later stages of the race, his foot did get numb. I mean, how difficult would it be to drive if your leg and foot get numb while you're racing?
Well, Kraus can answer this better because a lot of people told me his brake foot got numb all the time. So, Kraus, maybe you want to take this one?
Yeah, I don't even have a brake pedal, Ryan. We just cut that out of the car. There's no sense. But I've had my foot cramp before, Bert, a couple times. It was actually at the opener, so I'm out of shape. We were at I-94 one night, and it was hammered down on the cushion, and my foot completely cramped up. And it, luckily, it was my gas pedal foot, and it locked right to the floor, which was down to the floor anyway. But especially when you're in the rubber, Ryan, you know how it is. Your neck is constantly pinned, and your G-forces, and your legs probably pinned over to the side of the car. So you don't know it because you're just in the zone. But that's a big time. You have no feel for the gas. Like I said, when you race it in the rubber, you got to ease into the rubber. You can't go roasting it in there. Once you get in the rubber, yes, you're standing on it, hammered down, but you got to ease into that because you don't want to slide out of it. So I can see it. It's super tough, especially with the gas pedal foot, even if it's your brake foot, because all the racers 2-foot race. Your brake foot's if that's not secured, Bert, there's a lot of tension on that, and it's constantly on the pedal. So I can see that happen a lot. And he's old, and he's like Ryan. He's old and he's out of shape, and that stuff's gonna happen to him. But that's a tough thing to do, Bert. It really is.
Yeah, I guess he has not been very kind to himself. Let's just put it that way. So Let's see if he can finish a whole season. But boy, I tell you what, it would be good for racing to get him back up front. Anything else? And we touched quite a bit on the late model stuff already. Anything else that you want to touch on here before we jump on to the next segment? All right, 2024 Pick'em segment brought to you by the editor of our show, Coach Kraus.
Elevate-visual.com. Video productions. Make sure if you need any video work, drone work done, get a hold of Brandon at elevate-visual.com. He's got a website and he's also on Facebook. He has some videos online that you can check out. Does a phenomenal job. So make sure you get a hold of Brandon at elevate-visual.com.
Yeah, it's worth looking at some of his stuff. He does really good work for sure. So this past weekend, the leaderboard, the guys that kind of have movers and shakers from this past week, Big Bad Brad and Changa, +8 for those two. Bert nipping on their heels with a +7. Coach Kraus, the 71A, the worker bee, good old Kent, and Man Bun Dan, we're all +6 on the week. Good Jeff and Mike at +4. Curtis and Dan. Dan had a huge week last week. Not so much this week. Curtis, our reigning champ, and Dan only +3. So that puts our standings a little bit tighter right now. Curtis still leading the way at 80. But Brad and Changa, 74, only 6 points back. Bert, you're at 67, 1 point ahead of me. I'm at 66. Coach and Dan at 65. So really tight right there. Then we got the worker bee at 57, Man Bun Dan at 48, Good Jeff at 46, and Mike at 39. Now, it looked a while back like Mike was not even going to be on the same stratosphere as anyone else. He's only 7 points back from our Youper friend Jeff. So, boy, Jeff, you better get after it here. So, a look ahead to this week's events. We got a lot of them. We're picking a lot of races, but first a shout out to Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants. So this lubricant company, they do a lot. We talk about the tire treatment a lot, but they have so much more. You're going to want to jump online. Go to Facebook, go to their website, Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants, to look at all the great products they have. Buck is an absolute expert in lubricants. In fact, he's in the Hall of Fame for NASA, specifically for lubricants, the only lubricant company in the NASA Hall of Fame. So this guy knows what he's talking about. But a lot of products, their passion as far as dirt racing goes is to reduce the cost. So the right lubricants, tire treatments, a lot of different products they have. Look them up. Give Chad a call. He's the area rep. His number, 507-828-3536. That would be the guy to call. Don't just take our word for it. Call him, get some information, learn about the products they have, and see if it's something that can help your race program in 2024. So this weekend, guys, wow, we got a lot of races. I'll touch on the events. You guys say who you're going to pick. High limit sprint cars. You guys just say the three. I'll say the 3 tracks. You say the 3 picks that you have. Tuesday for the high limit sprints, Red Dirt Raceway. Friday, Southern Oklahoma. Saturday at the Salina High Banks. Bert, who did you take for the high limits?
Sweet Courtney and Courtney.
We're similar. Close. Bert or Coach Kraus?
Courtney Sweet Marks.
Courtney Sweet Marks. I went with Kyle Larson, Courtney. So me and Bert have the same on 2 of them, but I got Kyle Larson on Tuesday. All right, World of Outlaw Late Models. 3 nights of action this weekend. Thursday at Thunder Hill. Friday and Saturday, they have the Alabama Gang 100 at Talladega, Alabama. All right, Bert, who do you got?
McDowell, Madden, and Madden.
Coach Kraus?
Pierce, Bishop, Pierce.
And I went with Pierce on night 1. And I kind of went with the whole tire cheaters here. So I got Pierce, McDowell. Who I got, okay? I'm kidding. Don't need no hate mail. All right. Pierce, McDowell. Interesting, right? Kind of, I figured maybe somebody would go Pierce, but we did not. I'm guessing Changa probably did. USMTS this weekend, Friday at Arrowhead, Saturday at Tri-State, both races in Oklahoma. Bert, who you got?
Tim ×2.
Tim times 2. It's Tim time. Coach?
Fuquay, first night, and then Mullins.
All right. So I kind of went with yours, but I went the opposite. I got Jake Tim night 1. I got to stick with my boy, Jake Tim, and I got Darren Fuquay night 2. Now, he's only got a couple nights in. He's been racing at Humboldt, and he's been top 2 every night. Let's see how he does when he leaves Humboldt. And he's been pretty darn fast to start the season. World of Outlaw Sprint Car action Friday at Paducah International, Saturday at Hobstadt, Indiana. Bert?
Shots and gravel.
Coach?
Gravel and shots.
And I went with David Gravel at Paducah and Buggy Bobby at Hobstadt. I got Sheldon Hodenschild in Indiana. Dirt Kings action up at Beaver Dam. Bert?
Mike Mullen, not Mullins.
Coach?
I took Anvilink.
I took Mike Mullen as well. So me and Bert's on the same page there. So I don't know. We'll talk about this in a minute. We'll leave that one alone for a minute. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick one WISSOTA race. If there's WISSOTA specials, we're gonna pick the special. Okay. If there's no specials, we're gonna pick one WISSOTA track. We're gonna try to mix it up every single week. In our WISSOTA race of the week, the opener this week at the Big O, Ogilvie, Minnesota, they're opening up this Saturday. And we're going to pick the late models, modified, super stocks, Midwest mods, and the street stocks here this weekend. Sorry to the other classes. I know we're not giving you the love, but we still love you. But those 5 classes, so lates, mods, supers, Midwest mods, streets. Bert, what do you got?
All right. Well, first I got to say, last week Kraus was complaining that we're picking Dirt Kings because he's not familiar with those drivers. So we're picking 5 divisions that I don't even know if these guys have switched divisions or not. So here goes. Lates, I'm going with Moss. Mods, I'm going with Jody Belfi. Supers, I'm going with Cook. Midwest mods, Zach Benson. Streets, Ekdahl.
Bert, we're so close, it's not even funny. My God. Unbelievable. All right, Coach.
We're going 7A lates, 7A mods, 2A supers, 17 B mods, Midwest mods, sorry, and 05 in the streeters, Mr. Howland.
Oh, okay. And I am going to go with Dave Moss in the late models. I'm going to go with Shane Sobraski in the modifieds. I'm going to get hate mail here from Kraus. I kind of have a rule. We're not supposed to pick Moss. It just is what it is. But you picked him, right? 2A. Is he a 2A? Is that what you said?
But yeah, 2A-ho. Well, of course he is. What do you expect?
Holy shit. All right. Late models, Moss. Modifieds, Sobraski. Super stocks, Dexton Cook. Rough weekend for Cook last weekend. He's going to get a bounce back here. Midwest mods, Zach Benson, who I thought he was moving to an A mod. I don't know if he has that too, but he's in the B mod. And Midwest mods, sorry. All right. And street stocks, we're going to go with Jeff Ekdahl. So that's our picks here for this week. So the last lap, other races opening up this weekend. We got Red Cedar. They're going to run again this week. Interesting. Legendary 100 or Legendary Opener. It's always interesting to me that their legendary opener is like week 3. That's just weird to me, right? I mean, your thoughts on Cedar Lake running a Friday, Saturday show kind of against Menominee, right? Do you think the car cones are going to struggle as a result? I would have to think they share quite a few cars, but
well, 100%. It's 100%. It doesn't. It sucks, Ryan. I mean, you got to get together with these local tracks, and especially it's tough this day and age, and you're going to probably split some fans up too. So it's a tough deal. Nice to see these tracks work with each other instead of fighting against each other, especially when they're so close. So it's a tough deal. Like I said, it's a good thing. Good thing the good Lord invented Dirt Race Central, right?
100%. And the Devil's Playground opening up, I believe, Saturday up in Devil's Lake, North Dakota as well. Hunt the Front, little news, Hunt the Front late model action. So 2 drivers here over the past week getting added to the list of drivers saying that, hey, we're going to hunt the front in 2024. Did you happen to see who those two drivers were?
Was Bloomquist one of them?
Well, he was a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Fergie Time was one of them. Chris Ferguson officially going to follow a series. I don't know that Fergie's ever really followed any series. I think he's always kind of been a bounce around guy. And big sexy Brandon Overton going to follow Hunt the Front series. I am surprised by that one, but it makes sense. It's down in his neck of the woods. So it makes sense for him to stick a little closer to home. 50 grand to win that deal besides. Did you see another driver going to run kind of a bunch of crown jewel events? Did you happen to see that Cooney Motorsports has a new hired gun to fill in for some of these big shows? Coach Kraus, you're nodding. What do we got there?
Well, not the smooth applicator, but Mr. Smooth, Billy Moyer, is going to be running a little bit the Cooney shows and then running the big shows too. So super interesting. I think he's going to do wonders for Mr. Gustin, help him out. I think that's it. You know, he still can drive. There's no doubt about it. So great for the fans. Especially, you know, he's got Eldora. He's going to the big one. So that's a cool deal. Just to see him in a car, just fun to watch. Met him. He's won a couple at Viking Speedway when we had the ump cars over here. So cool. It's always cool to see him in a race car.
Absolutely. Billy Moyer going to be behind one of the Coon Dogs cars. I want to give a shout out here to a fan of the show as well. 11-year-old Mike and Iverson making the trip down to Glendale, Arizona, the Morris Rumble A-Main winner in the junior sprint. So kind of cool to see one of our big fans of the show, 11-year-old. He's going to run, sounds like one of the Econo mods this year also at Mississippi Thunder. So we're going to keep an eye on him. Any other shout outs here before we jump into the bold prediction, guys, or we pretty much got her covered?
I think we got it covered.
Sounds good. Bold predictions. So off the board, a little accountability section. So Bert, all right. So you said that Illinois drivers would account for 4 of the 6 podium finishes at the Illini 100. There was only 2 on the podium, both named Bobby Pierce. Interesting. I figured it would be better than that. So only Bobby Pierce on the podium. 28 late models, you said, would be in attendance at the Dirt Kings race in Shawano. Bert, how many cars showed up?
18.
Disappointing. Should have been 20. Couple guys broke the night before, but boy, that's interesting. And this weekend coming up, right? You got Dirt Kings at Beaver Dam and Shawano racing for 1,500. Car counts could be interesting there. Might talk about that in a minute. You said Donnie Schatz would get 2 podiums here this weekend. You got to win. That's 1. Night number 1, not so good. He got 8th on night number 1. Still good points night, but not 2 podiums. Good Jeff. He said Brad Sweet would have 2 podiums and 1 win. He got a 3rd and a 5th at a podium, but did not get that win. He said that Sheldon Hodenschild would have a better average finish than David Gravel this weekend. Sheldon Hodenschild, 6th and 25th. And Gravel, 1st and 4th. Not close. Not close. He did, however, say that Dustin Sorensen would have a better average finish than the B1 Bomber at the Illini 100. And Dustin Sorensen, Rookie of the Year contender in the World of Outlaw Late Model Series, beat Brent Larson by a couple spots each night. Neither one of them had anything, great happen, but he did have a little bit better weekend than Brent Larson did. Coach Kraus, you had 3 come off the board as well. You said that the Lucas Oil, you had a couple bad beats here. It's kind of funny, actually. You said Lucas Oil regulars would sweep the weekend and hunt the front action. I don't think either one of us predicted that they were going to be at the Lucas Oil MLRA shows, and they swept the weekend there. So kind of a bad beat. You said that Sheldon Hodenschild would sweep the weekend for the World of Outlaws and be top 5 in points. Yeah, not so much. He's 7th in points, but we just talked about how his weekend went. You said the Smooth Applicator would sweep the weekend and move into the top 10 in points. That's a bad beat. That's about as close as it could possibly get. I mean, he lost by what, 0.07 or whatever. I mean, don't get closer, but a second and a first, and he did move into 8th. So close, but no cigar. So the peanut gallery here, represented by Kenny, he said big sexy Brandon Overton would sweep the hunt the front shows. He had a 3rd and a 4th. I kind of figured he'd win, but he didn't win either one. Interesting to me. He said World of Outlaw drivers would double up in the sprint cars, and they did not. The driver that won did not win both. It was gravel and shots respectively. And he said there would be a different winner each night at the Illini 100, and he was correct. Good job, Kenny, on that. We did have different winners each night. Barely. Nick Hoffman, Bobby Pierce. And I had 3 come off the board as well, and that did not go well for me either. I said there would be an Illini sweep at least one night at the Illini 100, and, well, that did not happen. I said Squirrel, Brian Shirley, would be on the podium Saturday night. 14th is not on the podium. Neither is 13th of night 1. He struggled. He usually runs good at Farmer City. He did not. And I said that these 4 drivers would all find victory lane. Sam Marsh, he got her done night 1 at Menominee. Shane Sabraski, he got her done. He won the mod feature at Cedar Lake. Dexton Cook, DNF and 17th, which I think was a DNF. And I said Brady Larson, who got a 9th and an 8th. So not good there for the 71A. So our standings right now, as far as correct predictions go, we're keeping track of correct predictions and our correct percentage. And as far as correct predictions go, Bert, you're leading the way at 9. The 29 star, and Good Jeff at 7. I'm still at 6. I was at 6 a month ago. And the Peanut Gallery at 5. As far as percentages go, Kenny, good job, buddy, getting them back on track. The Peanut Gallery leading the way, 26.3 for the listeners. And in second right now, Bert in second at 20.9. Barely ahead of me at 20.7. Actually, Good Jeff is in second at 21.9. We're third and fourth, and the 29 star at 19.4. You got a little work to do there. So we're going to make 3 laps around the track to end this show, and we're going to make 3 predictions, sometimes bold, and sometimes Bert makes the picks. And we'll keep track of those, and they got to be racing related, and they either did or did not happen. So we'll go Bert, Coach, Good Jeff, Kenny, and myself. So Bert, your first prediction.
World of Outlaw late models. Bobby Pierce will get shut out of victory lane this weekend in feature action.
No wins for the smooth applicator. All right. Coach Kraus.
You want bold?
That is bold, but I'm going to one-up you when it comes to that. All right, Coach Kraus.
I'll give you that one, Bert. That one's pretty cool. And it gets the fans involved too. You know what I mean? Oh, Bert, that donkey said he ain't gonna win. Yeah, cool deal. I'm going. There's gonna be 200 plus cars at Ogilvie this weekend.
200 plus cars. Thank you, Dirt Race Central. I would rather watch that online. That's a lot of cars. 200 plus. That is bold, especially being that Cedar Lake is running. And they got with them having the legendary opener. That's an interesting. That could happen though. How many classes do they have? Do they just have what do they have? 7 classes: Lates, Mods, Supers, Midwest Mods, Streets, Mod 4s, and Hornets. Is that what they have? I think they have 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got quite a few classes as well. All right, Good Jeff. His first one off the board here. Between Brent Larson and. Between Larson, or not Brent Larson, my bad. Between Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet, they are going to combine. They're going to sweep the high limit wins over the weekend. All the wins for the high limit sprint cars are either going to be Kyle Larson or Brad Sweet this weekend. There's 3 of them. All right. Kenny, he said the World of Outlaw late middle winner at Thunder Hill will podium both nights at Talladega. So whoever wins night 1 is going to finish out the weekend with a pair of podiums. So that's a pretty interesting one. And I'm going to take a Pierce prediction as well. Bobby Pierce will not even be on the podium either night at Talladega. Thunderhill, I think he's going to do good. I picked him to win there. But Talladega, Alabama Gang 100, no podiums for Bobby Pierce. All right, Bert.
I have seen enough, and he said he is concentrating on late models. So I'm going to say that Mighty Mike Mullen is going to win the Dirt Kings Championship.
I like it. All right. So Nick Anvelink going from a C student to you're no longer the guy. All right. Fair enough. That is for all you Nick Anvelink guys. That's Bert Lehman right there. All right. I tell you, Mullen's good. He's fun to watch. I mean, those two kind of make this. I mean, no disrespect. Springborn is good, right? Richie and some of them guys, but those are, in my opinion, the two most fun to watch is Anvelink and, of course, Mullen. So that's a good prediction right there. Coach Kraus.
I got to stoop down and pick the high limits. I know it's tough. I know they're trying hard. I just, like I said, they tried to get NASCAR vans involved in dirt. I know if maybe we got a couple NASCAR vans in our pick'em, Bert. Maybe we need to turn them into dirt fans too. So we're gonna go 3 different winners this weekend and 3 races for the high limits.
All right, a little parody there. I like it. Good, Jeff. Kind of playing a little haterade on our Minnesota guy here. No podiums this week for Jake Tim in USMTS modified action. No podiums for Jake Tim, the point leader of the USMTS modified series. Kenny, he's going to go World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. All right, they got a pair of races this weekend. One of the nights will be won by a Pennsylvania posse driver, and the posse will account for 4 podiums over the 2 nights. So PA posse love there from Kenny at the World of Outlaw Sprint Car shows. All right. I'm going to go with Soda Racing here. I tell you what, as a race fan, nothing gets me more excited than seeing Buzzy Adams just carving the high side, the human highlight reel, getting her done. Word on the street, they bought a new hauler, hauls 2 cars, and lots of shows on the schedule this year for the 40 camp. Buzzy and Blake Adams are going to both win the national championships in 2024. Buzzy Adams in the modified, Blake Adams in the Midwest modified. It's 40 time for Wissota country for the modifieds. All right, Bert, your third and final.
All right. In the battle for late models this weekend, I am going to predict that there will be 3 times as many late models at Beaver Dam as in Shawano. So if Shawano has 5, Beaver Dam would have at least 15. Shawano has 7, there'd be at least 21 in Beaver Dam.
That's bold. That is bold. All right. That's interesting. That's going to be really interesting. All right, Coach Kraus.
Got a question for you, Ryan. Since you're the white Stephen A. Smith, is there any racing in Ohio this weekend anywhere? Do you know?
Well, I think there is, but I don't know that there's not any. I don't think there's any World of Outlaw Lucas Oil, anything that would be like that. But I believe there is Ohio racing. There's nothing big. I'm heading to Columbus, Ohio all weekend, so I got to work for once in the last month. So I just thought about that. I'm like, God, I should probably look at the schedule. I got a rental car. Maybe I'm gonna have to check something out there. Maybe see what's going on out there. So my last bold prediction, I'm gonna stick with my 3-way action here. World of Outlaw late models. I like the parody. I like seeing different winners. We're going 3 different winners with the World of Outlaw late models this weekend as well. All right. Well, Coach, the good Jeff is going to completely opposite of you. He's saying not completely opposite, but close. He said specifically Bobby Pierce is going to win 2 of 3 on the weekend. So Pierce is going to win 2 of 3. So kind of the opposite of both of you guys there. All right. Kenny's third and final one here. Whoever wins night 1 of the USMTS modified shows this weekend will also win night 2. So the USMTS driver that wins this weekend is going to win both nights. Bert, I thought you were going to cite me there because I don't know if this is bold enough. I think it is. I think it's bold enough. I was
so it might not be bold enough. So you thought I was going to snipe you.
Right, something like that. Yeah, we're both going to the car count deal, right? A late model car count deal in eastern Wisconsin, which is interesting. So you said that Beaver Dam would have 3 times as many or more than Shawano, but I'm gonna say that both Shawano and Beaver Dam will have less than 15 late models. Both Beaver Dam and Shawano will have less than 15 late models this weekend. So Beaver Dams, of course, they kind of have their whole turmoil with the Dirt Kings kind of scheduling on top, but Shawano, they kind of stepped it up. They're paying $1,500 to win for the late models on Saturday to kind of say, look, you don't need to. So,
well, and it's not just $1,500 to win. They increase the pay at every position.
Right.
So and it was just announced this week that the Dirt Kings race is going to pay $2,000 to win now. It wasn't a $2,000 to win show until, at least they just made the announcement this week. So
I saw that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a battle going on between the two. So we'll see where it goes. See, my thinking is with how dusty it was last week, I think some drivers would have stayed in Shawano, but they may now be thinking, well, screw this. I'm gonna go race at Beaver Dam.
Well, part of that, you got a new guy. You have a practice on Friday.
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, as Coach said, these tracks got to work together. Series tracks. I mean, the Dirt Kings they made their bread and butter off of the late models in that area, and now they're kind of competing against kind of their I would call the premier late model track. No disrespect to the other ones, but that's kind of the premier late model track in eastern Wisconsin. I would say it's probably Shawano, and they're kind of competing head to head. So interesting deal. We'll see what happens over there. Hopefully it works out for both of them. But man,
I agree.
Not a ton of late models over there to go around. So we'll see what happens. So there it is, episode 220 in the books. I hope you enjoyed the show. Punch the buttons, give us your feedback. Have any questions, any comments, any takes, whatever it is, let us know. Kraus, we'll have to chat and kind of see what's over in Ohio for maybe to hit up this weekend. Bert, are you going to I'm guessing you're going to go to Shawano this weekend?
I'm not sure. I might go to Beaver Dam.
Okay. All right.
Well,
it don't happen often.
Huh?
Missing Shawano doesn't happen often.
No. And I was all prepared to go to Shawano, but then after how dusty it was last week, it's just like, I just want to see a good race.
Yeah, and you'll be there most of the year. It's not like you're going to quit going there. But this Sunday, we might hit a race, guys. So Dave Dulciak got that hot rod ready to go. I think we might take the street stock, I guess we'll call it, over to East Moline possibly on Sunday to shake it down a little bit and go. They kind of have an outlaw street stock class, going to go compete against them. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. So thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Ryan. That's Bert. That's Coach. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please leave a review and subscribe. It is Puka. And Goat Sports has another show out there by podcast, Facebook, and YouTube. It's the Tea with Miss McGill show. Covers hockey, high school hockey in northern Minnesota. So if you're into hockey, you can find us on podcast under Tea with Miss McGill. You can find us on YouTube or Facebook, Goat Sports Media LLC. Yours truly and Coach Reed Larson. We break it down every week. We also do some interesting interviews. We'd love to have you. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch you next week.